In this video, I'm going to teach you my top 3 cold calling tips to help you close sales on the phone like a boss. Let's get into it. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Peyton Smith, and this video is going to be awesome because cold calling can be one of the scariest parts of selling, but if you figure out the best way to do it, it's going to be much easier, and it's a really quick way to land new clients, especially as a freelancer. If you're like me, I'm a freelance web designer and marketer, and so I need to get new clients fast to get my business growing. And so these tips are going to help you get on the phone with confidence and start closing new clients. So the first tip that I have for you is stop trying to close these sales during this first cold call. It's going to be really difficult to take these people from frustrated stranger that's annoyed that you called to pulling out their credit card and paying for a $10,000 website, right? That's just not going to happen. So instead, our mindset should be this first call is going to be really brief, and our goal is to get them to just take one small action so we can maintain contact with them. So what I like to do on these cold calls is I'll call them up and I will basically introduce myself, tell them why I'm calling, and then I'm going to offer them a very low-level value proposition. And so what I do is I offer strategy calls. So what I'm going to say is, I noticed that your website is outdated. There are a couple things that I noticed as I was looking through your website that if you change them, it would take just a few minutes, but you would instantly see an increase in sales and revenue. Would you mind if we scheduled a strategy call for sometime next week, where I could go over these things with you in about 15 minutes? Now you can see how another call, a low stress call, low pressure, low commitment call is going to be much easier to sell them on than trying to get them to pull out their credit card and spend money with you right then and there. Most of the time, these people are going to be really skeptical about you, and we already know that it normally requires several touch points before somebody's ready to spend money. So this is a great way to get all of the nerves out of the way, introduce yourself, schedule another call, and then in turn, you're going to take this cold outbound prospect and turn them into a warm inbound prospect on that next strategy call. Number 2 is never pitch the gatekeeper. This is a big mistake that we make, and it can be one of the most exhausting and time-consuming mistakes when it comes to cold calling. So what I mean by the gatekeeper is normally when you call into a business, you're going to run into a secretary, an assistant, an office manager, and these are not the people that you want to pitch because they're not the decision makers, right? And so a lot of times we just catapult ourselves into selling this secretary on our services, and it just doesn't work, and it's not worth your time because they're going to let you get through your spiel and they're going to say, I'm not the decision maker anyways, but I know they're not going to be interested in this, so goodbye. And so you've wasted your time and you got turned down by somebody that wasn't even a potential prospect or client. And so you basically set yourself up for failure from the start. So when you call, you have to be aware that most of the time you're going to run into a gatekeeper, and you have to have a tactful yet friendly and non-pushy way to get past that gatekeeper to speak with the business owner. Now, this isn't going to happen every time, but what I like to do is when they answer the phone, I'll say, hey, this is Peyton Smith. I'm calling from Pay Digital. Is the business owner available? And most likely that secretary or assistant is going to say, what is this regarding? And this is the most important part. I'm going to say, like I said, my name is Peyton, and I'm calling about your website. I can hold. And by saying that really assumptive phrase, I can hold, it basically assumes that, hey, you're going to pass the phone to the business owner. Now, again, you want to do this in a really friendly way, but by being very assumptive, most of the time that secretary is going to kind of sit there for a second and say, all right, let me go check. And so at least they're going to the business owner and saying, hey, somebody's on the phone, they want to talk about your website. Maybe it doesn't go through, but at least you've gotten yourself one step closer to getting on the phone with that business owner. Now, you have to remember that these gatekeepers aren't paid to battle with people on the phone, and you don't want to battle with them. Just be really assumptive. By assuming the sell like that, they're not going to fight it. They're just going to say, all right, let me pass the phone to the business owner. Tip number 3, and possibly the most important, is get to the point. It's really common for telemarketers to call you on the phone and beat around the bush about what it is that they're selling, right? They're not straightforward, and it makes them seem shifty and shady, and you're never going to sell somebody like this, right? Like, you're not going to trick somebody into buying your services, especially if you're in a business like me, web design and marketing, where I'm trying to build long-term relationships. And so you have to start that relationship off on the right foot by being really forthcoming and straightforward and blunt about what it is that you're calling about. because at the very least they're going to see that you respect their time and you're not there to waste their time or be shifty and kind of skirt around the whole purpose that you're calling in the first place. So what I like to say when I get on the phone with a business owner is, my name is Peyton Smith and I'm calling from Pay Digital, and the reason that I'm calling you today is I came across your website and I noticed that it hasn't been updated since 2015. When were you guys planning on updating that? Now, so what I've done here is I've introduced myself, I've given them the reason why I'm calling, and I've asked a really powerful question to get to the bottom of why they haven't updated their site and when they're going to do that. Now, what you're going to want to do is put together a 1 or 2 sentence introduction like this, where you introduce yourself, you tell them why they're calling, and then have a really powerful statement or value proposition or question to get the conversation started. What I found is by getting right to the point like this, they really respect me and they appreciate how brief I am, and they also respect that I respect their time. So they're going to be more likely to give me a genuine, honest answer that could lead to us starting up a conversation about them taking up services, or like I mentioned before, at least getting to a strategy call where we can get closer, build that relationship, and turn them into a client. So those are my 3 tips for today. I know that as you implement these, they're going to make a huge difference for you as you're cold calling. So if you're interested in more sales tips like this, I have a new sales course called Web Design Sales Mastery, where we break down everything that you need to know to generate leads, to land new clients, how to navigate sales calls. Everything's going to be covered in this, and within this course, I have both my cold call sales scripts and my inbound or strategy call sales scripts word for word, so you know exactly what to say in these calls. So thanks so much for watching. If you want to get access to that course, you can click the link below, and we'll catch you in the next video.